Yo. Quick video. We're gonna be ranking the new tactics that are in the game. Now, they are still far too new to make an accurate ranking. However, just by the passives and who can equip which tactic, I have already been able to, for myself at least, sort of decide which ones I'd be happy to get and which ones not. Basically, for those that don't know, each character in the game is put into a certain category for the tactics. So there is balance, there is DPS, burst, control, and support. Balance is units like Green Toka, Red Toka, Mr. MM, Green Owl, Psy Amon, and Tanabata Ayato. They are the relevant ones from there. DPS is units like Psy Ayato, Red Ayato, Green Jason, Centipede Kaneki, Wit Arima, Tatara, and Wit Owl. Burst is Psy Shu, Yamori, Green Ayado, Green Arima, Red Arima. Control is the new Juzo, Shinohara, sadly only those two, and support is Blue Hinami, Tanabata Hinami, Sen, Masked Kaneki, Blue Mado, Renji, and Vashu are the relevant ones. And so each tactic has a trait attached to it. For example, if we look here, these three tactics here and this one here at the end, they are universal. They can be equipped on anyone. Wait, let me get my sheet here on the side so I don't make any mistakes. The red ones here, they are for DPS, so only DPS can equip them. There will probably be more tactics in the future. This one is the only assistance one. This one is the only control one. This one is the only balance one, and the orange one are the burst ones. So now in this tier list, I'm gonna be ranking overall. So for example, the stats, I mean, they're the same for every one of these. However, it's also important on which units you can even equip them. It's very important. So this tier list will just be an overall ranking for how good the passive is, how good the characters are that you can use it on, and yeah. Also, you can't stack them. For example, on my main account, I got another one of these shields here, but you can't put it on the same unit. So now one is on my Green Owl and one is on my Teenage Hinami. So let's get right into it. Let's start at the very left. So the first one is the bombardment tactic. Now the passive is when using a single target active skill, has a 10% chance to deal equal damage. They'll deal extra damage equal to 100% of your attack. Now it is a burst one, which means it can be equipped on units like Shu, Yamori, Easter Ayado, Green Arima, and Red Arima, which are some very good units. There's units for every comp, but the worst one is, it's probably the worst for Anteku, since it can only be equipped on Shu, and he's not in the main lineup. It's good for boss fight, but he's not in the main lineup. Aogiri has Yamori and Easter Ayado, and CCG has Green Arima and Red Arima. But since it can still be equipped on a good amount of people, I'll put it in B tier for now, since the passive is pretty trash. So it gets this B ranking just from the character selection that it has. And I'm gonna be ranking these pretty harsh. But yeah, that's gonna be my ranking for this one. And I value the accessibility, so on how many characters you can equip it, way more than the passive. Because the passives are nice to have, but you want those stats on important units. That is the main thing that you want. So now we have the assistance tactic. So the passive of the assistance tactic reads, effective also in backup state, increases all allied characters' damage dealt by 6%. Now, since it is the only backup tactic that works in backup, but it can be equipped on like an assist for every single comp, Masked Kaneki for Aogiri, Mado for CCG, and Tanabata Hinami for Anteiku, also regular Hinami, so you can have 2 of these on your team. It's going straight into S tier. I think this is probably the best tactic in the game. I don't really know any tactic that comes close. I mean, you can put it on any team, you can use it in the backup, and the passive itself is also pretty solid. So for me, that's an S tier one. Now we have the what's this one called? Bloodstained tactic. So this is the only balance tactic in the game, which means you can equip it on characters like Red Toka, Green Toka, Green Owl, and Psy Amon. Now for Aogiri, there is no one that's relevant here. Only Tanabata Ayato, but no one uses him on the main field. So it's only really good for CCG, and very good for Anteiku, since you can equip it on everyone. For the passive, it says when taking damage, increases pen rate by 4% for 2 turns up to 1 stack. So it's just a 4% pen rate increase. So the passive isn't all that good. But you can equip it on a good amount of characters. But if you play Aogiri and you get this one, you're cooked, right? So for that reason, I'm probably gonna put this into C tier, just because you can't use it on everyone. And now, if you want me to make team-specific tier lists, just tell me. I'll try to find like a time to do it. During my exam period, I should be able to make these videos. They're pretty easy to make. But yeah, for me that's a C tier, just because an entire org, Aogiri, just doesn't benefit from it. Now we have the our first DPS tactic. It's called the burst tactic. So don't confuse it with the burst category. This DPS tactic is just called burst tactic. Now, the passive, it's pretty bad. It just increases crit rate by 8%. Now, who cares about crit rate? Every character basically already has like capped out crit rate in the end. However, you can equip it on Psy Ayato for Aogiri, Red Ayato for Aogiri, Green Jason for Aogiri, Wit Arima for CCG, Blue Tatara for Aogiri, and Wit Owl for Anteiku. So Anteiku gets Wit Owl with this one, CCG gets Wit Arima with this one, and apart from that, Aogiri benefits the most from it, because it has 2 meta characters and 2 sub-meta characters, Centipede and Red Ayato. But it has Green Jason and Psy Ayato. And Tatara too, I guess. But yeah, since all 3 factions can benefit from this, although the passive is pretty shit, I'm gonna put it in B tier, just for that fact alone, since the stats on these are completely overpowered. Now we get to our first universal one. So this one is the fortified something. Wait, let me check. Yeah, the fortified armor tactic. For me, immediately into A tier. The passive is just when the battle starts, increases your defense by 4%. It's pretty mid, but it's universal. That alone is so overpowered. You can put it on every single character, no restriction. You just can't stack it. That alone, for me, is just worth more than a passive, because there is the risk of getting a shit tactic like that you can't use on your main guys. So I will always be extremely happy with universal tactics. Same for the next one. The next one is called Healing Prohibition Tactic. It's also a universal one. However, the passive is pretty shit, so it's probably going to be on the far right, but still, it's universal. The passive reads, reduces all enemies' regeneration and restoration rate by 70%, which sounds good, but I'm pretty sure this is the passive regeneration and restoration, which is already like very small, so it doesn't really change that much. But incredible stats, and you can put it on anyone. So that's an immediate A tier. Yet another universal one. So now we have the potent tactic. The passive reads, when your current HP is above 75%, increases defense by 10%. So for me, this one's gonna go to the far left. This passive is very solid. I might even, 75%, that's crazy. It's somewhere like here. I'm gonna put it in S tier actually. 10% defense is a crazy amount. Now I know that it's only for above 75%, however this is an insanely strong passive and you can put it on everybody. It's universal, so it's an A tier tactic already. The passive is what elevates it above the other universal ones for me. So for me it's an immediate S tier. Now we get to the second burst tactic. It's called the killing tactic. The passive reads, when killing a target, increase your all stats by 2%. Now this is garbage, this stat. This passive is very bad. However, as I said before, it can be used for every team. Except on Teiku, it only goes on to Shu, which isn't so nice. So I'm probably gonna put it here in B tier since you can still put it on Shu, so it's still somewhat usable. But the passive is pretty mid. Okay, now we get to roulette tactic. This is the only tactic for the control section, and the passive reads, after using a single target active skill, there is a 20% chance to randomly inflict either Blood Piercer for 2 turns or incapacitation for 1 turn to the enemy target. So the 2-turn passive, Blood Piercer, when attacked, the target takes additional damage of 10% of Blood Piercer applied attack for 2 turns. And the incapacitation for 1 turn passive is unable to take any actions. Damage taken increases by 35%. Any attack suffered cancels the effect. The passives are really good, right? They are really good. There's just one slight problem. The only character in the game that is somewhat still relevant that can equip it is the new Juzo. So for CCG, those are some great passives, like really good ones. But only on Juzo? Like, that's disgusting. So for me, that's gonna go here. It's not gonna go into D tier because the passives are just a bit too solid for D tier. But it is locked to CCG. You can put it on characters for the assist slot. I mean, the new Juzo has good CP and Pet Boy Juzo too, and Shinohara too as well. So you can use them in the assist slot, but it's just pretty bad. And just sad to see. So for me, this is probably the worst one in the game to get, except if you're CCG, of course, but this is an overall ranking. Now we get to another strong tactic, and it's the Power Strike tactic for DPS. The passive reads, increases damage dealt by 10% for active skills. That's a lot, especially because Aogiri has Psy Aodo, which I guess doesn't do much, but Green Jason still does a lot of damage. CCG gets Wit Arima, and now Anteiku has the Wit Owl here. Now 10% per active on Wit Owl, that is nuts. So for me, that's gonna go here. Probably here actually, and I'm gonna rank this one lower. Actually, I'm gonna say why in a second, but yeah, for me this one goes there. Now let's get back to this burst tactic. What was it called again? Bombardment. Yeah, the passive red single target active skill. I forgot about that. So actually, characters like Easter Ido can't use it. And it probably doesn't trigger on the green Arima skill as well. But I guess, nah, it still belongs there, I guess. I mean, because red Arima can proc it, Yamori can proc it, and Shu can proc it. So I guess it still belongs there. And now for the last one, we have another universal tactic, the final one. It's called the shield tactic. When the battle starts, grant yourself a shield equal to 3% of your max HP for one turn. So the passive is pretty bad, but it's a universal tactic. So it's gonna go here, and yeah, this is probably the worst universal one. But yeah, this is the order, in my opinion. This is the like how I would rank them. Of course, it's important to listen to what I say, because I try to justify each ranking. Some people might, of course, disagree with this ranking or rank it in a different way. For example, they don't take into account that certain tactics can't be equipped on everyone. Like they only rank it by the passives, which would make the ranking a bit different for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is everything. I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.